Looking back on it, Man of Steel is a terrible Superman movie. And I don't know why, when I first watched it, I enjoyed it.
I think it has a lot to do with Henry Cavill's interpretation of Superman. I do like his version of Superman. I think it's... But then again, I'm a big Batman fan, so it has a lot to do with that. But I like Henry Cavill. I remember when he was cast, I was like, Zack was smart enough to show a picture of him already having worked out for months and months. I was like, yeah, that dude looks like Superman. I completely forgot he was that scrawny-ass kid from The Count of Monte Cristo. He broods a lot. He's always angry. I don't think... Maybe there's like one or two shots where the dude smiles. I just rewatched it last night. I've seen this movie 22 times now. I do like his iteration of Superman since it came out. It came out way back in 2013.
Still
so
a lot of viewings.
But I do like his Clark Kent and his Superman. It's more up my alley. He's a much more serious. First of all, the dude looks great in the suit, and it's the first time too that I see a Superman suit that I'm like, I don't know if I'd wear that, but that actually looks pretty cool. He doesn't have the stupid ass trunks, and he's out there. Just the cinematography of this movie. I really enjoy that one scene where he actually puts on the suit and he has his fist on the ground, and the snow and the ice is like the particles are moving around because he's about to do his Superman leap. I really like that Zack took his time and showed us that kind of stuff. I really like the flying, and when he breaks the sound barrier and all that stuff, it's the first time I've seen a Superman movie that I'm like, it doesn't look goofy as hell, and the CGI is not horrible. I like his Clark. He's not a clumsy Clark Kent. He's not like, falling over everything. He's not goofy. He's not a dorky Clark Kent. He's not, stuttering every time he talks. I did appreciate that.
Yeah, but I do wish there was a little bit more of a difference between this Clark Kent and Superman. And I do get that in this iteration, it is very much more of the start of Clark Kent and Superman being separate, which I guess is a little bit different from what we've seen more recently. But I think Henry Cavill had tremendous potential in the role. I just don't like the direction and where the writing took him, as I feel like Superman should never be dark and brooding. I get why people enjoyed it. Some people enjoyed it as they wanted a more grounded, realistic Superman.
I like that shit.
Yeah, I know.
I agree.
You love Daredevil and Batman. It's right up your alley, but Superman should never be dark and brooding. He's always hopeful, smiling, and everyone I talked a little bit earlier, there's a scene where Henry Cavill gets a beer dumped on him, and then he went out and destroyed the guy's truck. That's just not Superman. And pretty much whenever I saw him, God, he had so much going for him. It's not Superman. I get that new iterations always take liberties and they change things up, but you need to keep the heart of the character and what makes the character, and this just isn't Superman.
No, I agree 100%. And I was telling Griffin, having seen just most recently Superman, James Gunn's Superman, the flaws in this movie are more evident than they ever were before. Particularly that scene, we spoke at length about that scene this morning, where I would have done that, what Clark did to that guy's truck.
Yeah.
Batman would have done it. Griff talked about Wolverine. I was like, no, Wolverine would just clawed through the dude's chest. But he's right. Superman, first of all, Superman
just smiled and got him another drink.
Incredibly powerful. He's not going to bother with this prick. He would have smiled and got him another beer for it, as Griff says, and he would have walked away. It wouldn't have messed with him the way that it messed with this Clark Kent, because that's not, as Griff says, they're not keeping to the essence of the character. Yeah. That's not the way Superman would react to, something that's lame as that.
Yeah, I feel like just a lot of it has to do with his emotional journey, and I feel like he's almost emotionally stunted, and I'll get into that a little bit more later, but he's very angry, and I feel like he has such a temper. He always looks like he's holding himself back from just killing everyone. Like, it feels very much like almost an Injustice Superman, where if Lois were ever to be killed by anyone, I feel like he would snap and kill whoever killed Lois. Like, just
got Injustice vibes.
Yeah, we've talked about it at length before.
This was an Injustice movies universe of this movie.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
There's definitely an Injustice universe. But I guess going along with that is Superman never kills. Ever. There have been iterations where he's killed, but there's always been Elseworlds. As Superman never kills, there's always a different path, always a different way, and it's his job to find it, always remain hopeful, and see the best in people. Yes, it's unrealistic, and it's not how the real world works. That's not the point of Superman. Never has been, and never will. It's always supposed to instill in you that hope. And for a character that's supposed to do that, it's just, I didn't get that here. That's just my biggest issue. And one thing I just think is a little bit funny about the character is in this, we see or hear about Clark having different identities, different work papers. And I think it's so funny picturing bumbling Smallville Clark Kent falsifying legal documents. That's never something I'd picture him doing, but I just think it's kind of funny to think about.
Yeah, the no kill thing is, I'm not defending the fact that Zack made the choice to, but I'm strictly talking about in character, in story, putting myself in that situation.
Yeah. Okay, let's do it.
And I've seen it 22 times now.
There were other ways.
I just don't know. I'm sure that there are. I just don't know in that particular situation how quickly he could have chosen one of those other ways.
Could have just flown up, just lifted him up and flown up.
I don't know that.
With that scene, he snaps his neck to the right, which is where the hostages were, which was kind of dumb. I don't know if that was an editing issue.
It's probably an editing issue. I just don't know. Zod is much more experienced.
Yeah.
Much more experienced than I like this Zod. I don't like the Zod from Superman 2 because of everything that Griffin has said about their look and characterization. Here, we're introduced to Zod as a wartime general and a very experienced wartime general. And he's sick of the politics and sick of the bullshit. And he was like, look, fuck these people. Let's run this in a militarized way. You know, let's get this shit in order. It's about justice. He's crazy, but he's a very honorable crazy dude. And he looks the part. I mean, from the moment I saw him, I was like, yeah, he sounds crazy. He sounds convicted. And he looks the part. I mean, when I look at him, I'm like, that's General Zod. He's a total dick. He's here to commit a coup, and he's 100% committed. He's so committed, he admires Jor-El and thinks of him as his equal. But he's like, you know what? If you're not with me, fuck you. He's willing to go that far for his ideals.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
I bought into it. So when he's fighting because a lot of people started complaining, he shouldn't be able to do. Superman's getting his ass kicked. Yeah, but Superman's getting his ass kicked by another Kryptonian who has
by a military genius at that.
On top of the military genius thing, you have to remember in this iteration of fucking the DCEU or whatever, it's not like Zod had parents. Like they're bred for individual. It's like they're like fucking ants. They're bred for individual tasks. So from the moment of birth,
the designer babies.
They're designer babies. It was encoded into his fucking DNA to be a military genius and to like protect Krypton even against Krypton. Yeah. So he has all this military knowledge from birth, and he's been an experience. We all have no way of knowing what the hell Zod's been up against. And now he comes to Earth and he gets these powers because of our sun. And you see him adjusting to it. And there's a bit there where Superman kind of gets the upper hand here or there because Zod's now adjusts. But he adjusts quick as fuck. Because again, he's been trained and he has all this knowledge. So of course he's going to be, handing Superman his ass left and right. Everything Superman does, Zod quickly adapts to it and then starts doing it back to him. So I bought into it. Zod is a complete dick. And he was going to kill those people.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
He would have killed everyone on Earth.
Dude, he killed Kryptonians. He didn't care.
I mean, he probably doesn't even think of Earthlings as people, to begin with.
No, he thinks of us as ants, man. Yeah. 100%. So, Superman had a choice to make in that moment. Either I kill him, I off him. I would have made the choice that Superman made. But that's me. I understand why people have an issue with Superman making that choice. He had, 30 seconds to decide? That was the choice. I think it was more under pressure. Other than I don't think he actually was like, I'm killing him.
Yeah, no, it was definitely under pressure given everything going on. Given they had the dumbest fucking civilians.
I know, fucking guys. I mean, if you see this, it's like the people in Transformers who are like running around taking selfies. Like, get the fuck out of the way, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah, they could have gone out of the way. That was so dumb.
I know a lot of people when the DCU and the MCU were like, at their peaks, if you will. A lot of people were like, the stakes in DC are higher. Yeah, but everyone in Marvel, at least in the Avengers, knew to get the fuck out of the way.
And honestly, I'll say it. Deadpool put it best in Deadpool 2. It's so dark. It's so unnecessarily dark. And that's one of the reasons DC failed. That could be a whole different
video. Right up my alley. But just because it's up my alley doesn't mean it's going to succeed. That shit. Yeah.
You need variety.
Look at, it's always dark. Even when the sun's out. I'm like,
They love their blue and gray filter. I don't get it. I agree with everything Edward said about Zod. He was a good villain. He did drag it out a little bit too long, but he was a good villain. Let's get a little bit more to what Edward talked about with Jor-El and Krypton with Russell Crowe. I think he played a really good iteration of the character. I don't get why he was wearing the armor all the time. And then when he's in that AI, he wears the robes. I like the robes so much more. I feel like that, especially in the Scientific Council and the Council of Krypton, would have made a lot more sense. I love looking at Krypton and seeing how it's devoid. It's just brown everywhere. I think they did a really good job showcasing that they really have depleted all of its resources. And I like seeing Lara and Jor-El really proving they would do anything for their son, as they're gonna send him off. They even have the brief moment of should I, and then they obviously chose to send him off. I think they did a great job. I loved the seriousness and how when Jor-El said, okay, the council's done, they're not listening to reason, fine, I'm gonna take it in my own hands. I like how well they showed that here. But there are some issues with Krypton that I do have, more with just the story that Zack made with Krypton. I just don't think made much sense. So we know that Krypton had a resource and a population problem because they started doing all these designer babies, and they just, obviously Krypton exploded because due to lack of resources. They were using the core to unstable. But then why did they never use any of the outposts that they established? There could just be, there is a later reason that they never got into. That could just be it, because Zack loves that. Odds are it could very well be Doomsday, because for some reason he has a hard-on for that. But there's just, I don't get why there was that. And also, so they did all these colonies, then they decided to cut down their population, do all the designer babies, right? But then the ship on Earth, the Fortress of Solitude, which is lame. Edward's gonna get very much into that, but it's lame. But it's been there for 20,000 years, give or take. But then why is there a Genesis chamber on it to create Kryptonians if that wasn't a thing yet?
The lack of Fortress of Solitude in this movie is one of the stupidest fucking things in this entire movie. And I can stand here and defend Zack, but I could also rip him apart probably like no one I know. There are things in this movie that I really like visually. Griffin mentioned it. I really like Russell Crowe as Jor-El. The way he speaks, the way he's able to deliver lines, I put him up there with Sir Ian McKellen as Magneto or Gandalf. I mean, he's just very good when it comes to delivering lines. He looks good in the role. The whole baby manufacturing thing, I never understood that. I always thought that was dumb as hell. But I was always hopeful to see, because I liked their design for Krypton. It's not this icy planet, which Griffin hates. And so I just assumed that we were going to get a new Zack Snyder version of the Fortress of Solitude even when it's a spaceship that's been here for however many thousands of years, which is stupid in itself. I always just assume, okay, that's where he's going to come back and forth, and that's going to be his thing.
Same.
And he doesn't. He flies around in it. Zod tries to take over it. It's destroyed. We later see it in other movies. But it's not the Fortress of Solitude. It's not his place to go and mellow out and learn about his Kryptonian heritage. And that, I think, is a missed opportunity. And I've heard, and Griffin and I have had numerous conversations about me listening to Zack Snyder explain certain things, and it makes zero fucking sense. Like, his explanation as to why there is no Fortress of Solitude is dumb as fuck. He just basically says, he's like, well, yeah, I mean, we've done the Fortress of Solitude, yeah, but we've also already done Superman, and here we are with you directing and writing a fucking Superman movie. So the whole it's been done thing, it's kind of,
check out.
You know, if there's ever been a Superman that needs to go to the fucking Fortress of Solitude and spend a couple hours alone, it's this dude.
110%.
100% always pissed off at the world for no fucking reason. He's got a good life. I don't know what he's so damn mad about. Yeah, he kind of grew up like I think
he's
Zack
emotionally
saw too many
stunted. That's
X-Men
the
mutants.
issue.
He saw too many X-Men movies, and he was like, yeah, he's an isolated mutant. No one loves him. There's a hot chick that wants to bone him. His mom is super cool, and yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know why he's so fucking, like, his parents didn't die. Well, yeah, but his adopted parents, the parents he grew up with, they're not dead. They're alive.
One of them is.
Well, yeah, but the other one's dead for a very stupid ass reason. And
God,
we'll get into that.
I'll let
Griffin
ready.
take that
I'm
one 100%.
So ready for that.
But the Fortress of Solitude not being there, and then I was hopeful because I was like, all right, we didn't get it in this movie. Maybe we'll get it in wrong. We never got it. We never get it. We never get the Fortress of Solitude. Not only that, he fucking dies in the second movie. We'll get into that later, but that's another stupid ass call that I'm like,
dude, fuck Snyder, Jesus.
I mean, there's cool things about him, and there's really cool stuff here. We get hints at stuff that I got super excited when I saw this movie, and I saw that fucking Wayne satellite. I was like,
yeah,
I will someday get Batman, and we did. Didn't really go anywhere. But that's for another reason that we'll get into. But here, no Fortress of Solitude, man. That's like no ham in my sandwich, bro. I just don't understand it.
It's Batman without his Batcave. It's dumb.
It's dumb. It's that dumb. It's that fucking stupid. It's Batman without his Batcave, which we've gotten, sadly. Fuck.
Yeah. And Edward set me up to talk about the Kents. Martha Kent, I think the actress did a great job. I really don't have anything good or bad to say about her. She's not even that old. Yeah, she's not even that old. Like, she's like the amount of like how nonchalant she was when like a car went through her house. That takes some confidence. But Jonathan fucking Kent, holy fuck. None of this is against Kevin Costner. He did the best he could with the material. But seriously, pardon my language, but fuck this iteration so much. When he comes on screen, this movie goes downhill and it stays going downhill. I do not understand why Jonathan Kent makes Clark afraid of himself and also just afraid of helping people and make Clark value his own life above everyone else's. That's the direct opposite of what Jonathan Kent's supposed to fucking do. Why is he scolding his son for saving a bus full of kids? We'll never fucking understand it. I get it. He's scared his kid's gonna be experimented on. But that's the issue. You'd rather kill off 30 kids. It's so fucking dumb. He should be he should be careful, but still encouraged to help people. That is Superman. Even in like Smallville, even when growing up, he should still be encouraged to help people. As I don't like mixing universes too much, but I am gonna quote Marvel right now. With great power comes great responsibility, and that is it's very apt here. And I hate how Jonathan Kent died. It makes no goddamn sense. One, why was Jonathan Kent going back to the car when Clark could have done it? And you easily could have played it off how Clark was getting back even with the tornado. You definitely could have played that off. But the fact that Clark isn't allowed to save him, and it's the wrong way to teach Superman the lesson. We talked about it in our video about Superman 76, where Jonathan Kent dies to teach Clark that he can't save everyone. But he 100% could have saved him here. And the lesson is completely lost on him. I hate it so much. Again, nothing against Kevin Costner, but this role fucking sucks.
I've heard Griffin give this explanation several times now. I do want to say one thing, though. I think he's 100% correct in his dislike towards the character. Not towards Kevin, but towards the character. I think he's 100% correct. I do want to say this, though. When you're a parent, you really see shit in a different light.
No, absolutely.
You start thinking, or at least this is the way I think. I like helping people. I like, but since I became a parent, I 100% think of mine before I think of anyone else's.
That makes sense. But
I'm not giving that as an excuse or as an out for Jonathan Kent's iteration in this. But as a father, I think and I agree, it's a little bit selfish, but I think you start thinking about your kid and you're like, if the fucking playground falls down or burns down, but I got mine out.
You're happy. Yeah, I mean, again,
I'm
this
good.
is the more grounded, realistic
And I think that's
version.
the way he was. I think that's the way he was looking at it. I think he literally was like, I don't, because he's, red-blooded American, and he knows our government. He was like, I know what they're gonna come and do. They're gonna take you away. I understand the fear. I think he took it a step too far with the whole bus situation, because then people in a small town like that, they start gossiping. They're gonna be like,
yeah,
it was him. He said, because that one lady immediately came to his house. She's like, she's one of those like. We all have one of those at our church. She's one of those. She's like, it's Providence. He's, she starts looking at him like maybe God sent him and shit like that.
But there's so many excuses you could give. I don't get why in this movie they just accept when people tell them, hey, your kid's superpowered. I don't get why they just accept it. Your kid was drowning. He hallucinated. He had lack of oxygen to the fucking brain. He made it up. There's so many ways to go about it.
You could also move. You could also just pack your shit up and go.
Absolutely.
Somewhere else.
I do think, though, Clark should 100% be a little bit more careful, and he has super speed, which is really never shown in Superman, and I don't get why. He definitely could have saved the kids without really being seen. It was a writing choice. It was a deliberate writing choice. That's all it was.
I do like Martha, and particularly at the scene where Clark's at school and he's freaking the hell out, and she goes and calms him down, and she's like, hey, look, listen, just, she has that little chat with him, because he's being looked at as a freak. And so her showing up and saying, hey, look, relax, teaching him how to, take a moment, take a breath, and then realizing, oh, okay, I'm starting to I'm adjusting to these powers, which is something that later on Zod never had that. So when he starts, seeing through shit, he starts freaking out. His eyes start burning because his lasers are coming out. Martha had those moments with Jonathan, and I do like. I think she did a great job.
Oh yeah.
I remember always thinking she's not that old. Why the hell did they pick her?
She doesn't have to be that old. The same thing with like Aunt May. They don't have to be that old if they don't want to be. They're just always portrayed as older.
Yeah. No. I mean, like, the actress isn't as old as she's made to look in the movie. She's characterized that way. And a lot of people, because I remember her, like, Unfaithful had come out not so long. I always thought as her as hot. And then here I'm seeing her as Martha Kent. And I'm like, she looks old as balls in the movie, but she's actually not that old. That lady's hot. And I had to defend that fact because people were like, dude, you have the hots for an old lady. No. And I show them pictures. I'd be like, no, dickhead. She's actually hot. She's characterized that way. Kind of like Leo DiCaprio in some movies where he plays an older dude.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny. But I liked her, Martha Kent.
And then Lois Lane in the Daily Planet. It's weird with Amy Adams. There are things I like and things I don't. I think she did a good job playing this reporter love interest to Superman. But I don't think it was a good Lois Lane. She didn't have the attitude, didn't have the fire. She was very passive. And Lois Lane is anything but fucking passive. And I like how they showed her investigative journalism, how she found out that Clark Kent was Superman. I loved watching all of that. It's just, it's not Lois Lane. It's not at all. And
it's never Lois.
No. I also just don't get why Superman and Martha just outright told Lois that he's Superman. Again, why? There was no reason to tell her. I get that she found out, but you could still try to deny it. It's just, wasn't a huge fan of that either. But I do think
my
Perry
biggest
White was
issue with Lois is that she's a fucking redhead. I never understood.
It's semantics. I don't care about that. It doesn't look like Lois, for sure.
It never, yeah. These characters, for me, and I've had a lot of conversations with people about Bane and, the Dark Knight trilogy and things like that, but the character has to at least somewhat resemble the character that you're portraying. Say what you want about Henry Cavill Superman. He's in a Superman suit. He's got a stupid S on his chest, and he's flying around in blue tights. He's Superman. Lois is Lois in name only, and she doesn't have her journalistic fire, as script says. That she'll get the story no matter what. She pisses people off. She does that here to a certain extent, but she never felt like Lois Lane for me. She never felt like Lois Lane to me. Every time I saw her on screen, I'm not attacking her looks. Amy Adams is hot, or at least she was in those movies. These movies came out a while back. It's not that. It's just I don't know. If you're gonna hire Amy Adams, sure, hire her. Dye her fucking hair black.
You know which iteration had a great Lois Lane? My Adventures with Superman. I need to get back into that. That had a really good Lois Lane.
I'm not even complaining about the fact that she may or may not have even worn purple once in this fucking DCEU. That's not even it. Although I do like my Lois wearing some purple shit. Just Absolutely. Even a sweater or a suit. Just anything purple. Because that's just the Lois Lane that I, picture.
Yeah.
It's the red hair. Every time I see Amy Adams, I'm always thinking of her from her character from fucking Talladega Nights or everything else that I've seen her. Enchanted. Those 4 episodes that she showed up on The Office for. It might have been more, so don't get after me. I'm just saying, it was Amy Adams to me. It wasn't Lois Lane. That's Absolutely. The problem with it. Like when I see Ben Affleck as Batman, I'm like, yep, that's Bruce Wayne. That's fucking Batman. Christian Bale, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, etc., etc. But every time I'm looking at her, I'm like,
too far.
It's fucking. It's
just Amy Adams.
It's Amy Adams. It's
we want to see the character, not the actor. It's just her line delivery.
Like, had she dyed her hair black, I probably wouldn't have an issue with her.
No, I still would.
I don't know if I would. But the reason why she stands out so much to me for is because I just see that red ass hair all over the place, and a lot of people, friends of mine, have complained when a redhead is supposed to be cast in a movie, and then they just get someone else and dye their fucking hair red. Here they did that to someone who's supposed to be dark haired. I just thought it was weird because there's also so many other actresses that I would have hired. I always pictured Natalie Portman as Lois Lane. She's spicy. She's in your face. She's driven. As Padme, she was like not supposed to be doing certain shit. And she was always doing that one thing she wasn't supposed to be doing. She's got dark hair. I just always thought she'd make a good Lois Lane. Yeah. Did go that route. There's several actresses that would be really good for Lois. They went with fucking Amy Adams. I don't know if maybe it was a conscious thing. Like she was like, yeah, I'll do it, but I'm not dyeing my hair because there's actors like that. And we've talked about them before. And if that's the case, then why hire
Zack makes a lot of crazy decisions. I do want to get into Zack Snyder a little bit, as he's very controversial for several reasons. I don't want to get into it too much, but specifically just with Man of Steel, I like some of the things he did set up. I like setting up the open pod in the ship and how that was supposed to lead somewhere. I like how in this movie there was a lot of things that we could have gotten coming up. And I am glad in this movie we didn't get a lot of slow motion, as for some reason he's addicted to that shit. We did get a lot of shaky cam. But there are some things I just don't agree with his style for. Like, there are a lot of connections that are more behind the scenes and that we don't really see too much. Like, apparently in this movie, Aquaman saves Superman while he's unconscious. We don't see it, but it's there. Sure, fine, that's kind of cool.
From what, though?
Yeah, exactly. He still woke up underwater. I'm not 100% sure. But then, one of them I want to talk about... Yeah, one of the ones I want to talk about is Krypto. Because Krypto's apparently in this fucking movie. So Krypto, according to Zack Snyder, was a human dog... Well, human dog is definitely the wrong word, but just a regular dog.
He was an earth dog.
He's an earth dog that Clark grew up with, but then had to be put down. It was supposed to teach Clark the fragility of life. Again, where was that in the movie? That lesson was never used, and Jonathan Kent quickly contradicted it. Not to mention they had several other dogs. I don't get why you had Krypto, killed him off screen, and then never really mentioned it. And again, just go against that point with a different character a couple scenes later. He seems to want to do too much. Zack Snyder has a lot of great ideas, but when he writes and directs his own shit, it doesn't work. He needs someone to take his ideas and make it feasible and make it digestible for an audience, as it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
That's the first time I'm hearing about the Krypto thing, but I'm kind of glad that Krypto wasn't in it, because I'm not a big fan of Krypto. And in James Gunn's Superman, I thought he was overused with the comedic stuff.
And Earth Dog's kind of just useless.
Yeah, essentially it was just a dog he grew up on the fucking farm. That's not Krypto, so yeah. I guess I'm glad he didn't even put that in there. So I have issues with his choices, and then I have an even bigger issue when he explains his choices for a lot of things. Because I listened to the dude at length, and I'm like, what?
What sort of crack are you on?
What makes it harder is Zack sits there and he'll be like, he'll
he
show
knows
a
his
panel
shit.
of a comic book. He'll be like, look, it's in the comics. It's right. And if you're reading it from the comics, why did you make the deliberate choice to go completely the opposite direction? And I knew we were going to get a Superman 2 because this one didn't do great at the box office, but it also didn't do ass. Now, and I told Griffin I was going to say this, having seen Superman, I don't want to call it James Gunn Superman. I know he wrote it and directed it for you guys to fucking yell at me. But it's just, to me, it's Superman because it's much more within character than this. Having seen that, and let me know in the comments if you've seen the latest iteration of Superman, and now you can sit and enjoy this one as much. Because now I'm able to be like, there's certain scenes that I'm like, that's not what Superman would do. Yeah. I'm a lot more nitpicky about it, having seen a much more comic book accurate, just a much more accurate Superman.
And the funny thing is I watched this movie this morning, and I went into this thinking it was a good movie and I was going to enjoy it. I want to turn this movie off 45 minutes in. It gets slow, and we said at the start, it's a terrible Superman movie. It's a good movie if you disconnect anything from DC, all the names, they're just disconnected entirely from Superman. It would be a good movie, sure, but it's not. And because of that, it's honestly probably one of the worst Superman movies.
The route they're headed is very evident in the follow-up, in the sequel. Everyone's like, that's not a Superman sequel. Yes, it is. It takes place directly after this fucking movie, after the events of this movie, like immediately after the events of the movie. That's a sequel if there's been one. Sure, it's not called Superman 2, but
we should have gone Superman 2.
It's not my fault Batman's the more popular character.
I don't know if he's the more popular character. Numbers may say otherwise. Superman sold more. By a lot.
Let's do a poll.
Superman sold, if I recall, has sold roughly 120
Well, no, I don't mean like
million
who sells more, because I know that Spider-Man sells more comics than Batman, but I'm just saying, like, I think between the two characters, I think Batman's
especially in the modern era.
The heavier fan favorite. I mean, if I choose between Superman and Batman, I'm going Batman.
The funny thing is, I think Wonder Woman's actually the most popular DC character if I recall the most recent poll. I think it's Wonder Woman.
But let us know in the comments, who do you guys think is more popular? I want to say Batman, because even Zach was like smart enough to name that fucking movie BVS. It's not called Superman versus Batman. It's Batman versus. It's not versus. We'll get into that when we review that fucking. That's another fucking stupid ass thing. It's BVS and it's
We'll
V
talk
for
about
a
that
reason.
next time.
And when we tell you guys the reason, you guys probably
God, that
know
movie's worse.
it's dog shit.
And thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed our review of Man of Steel and you haven't seen our review for James Gunn's Superman, you will very much enjoy that, as it's very much a different movie.